to my house. You have no respect for me, my What is going on here? He attacked my son. Your son's trying to steal my wife.
Duncan, you've had too much to drink.
Oh, excuse me. That's a very unprofessional way to start the Every Second Matter show.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I've got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. Right now, has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, American. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to another Every Second Matters. We get together on the second day of the month to celebrate and idolize the Second Amendment and also spend a lot of money on the Second Amendment, right? Anyway, so we started the show off there with a little altercation, but Duncan has been asked to leave, and we should be able to continue in a more civil manner. We have a link out there on Patreon, so if you want to join in, you're one of our Patreons, feel free. Or if you want to join in, otherwise, I guess ask somebody for a link. So this is a conversation about Second Amendment, and we got a couple people joining us. Foss jumped in.
Hello.
From up in the west, I believe, right?
Great Northwest.
Right on. Thanks for jumping in, middle of the day. And then we got a nice straight jumping in from the east.
Hey, how's it going?
Boom. And then I guess I'm not in the middle, but I'm in the middle of them too. So we got everything covered. We don't have a north. So if there's a northern that wants to join, it would equal it all out. Right now, I'm kind of worried that we're going to topple over the United States. Anyway, so I don't know where to go with Second Amendment chat. We've been doing this for 7 years now, and I didn't think anybody's going to show up. Usually when I do these live things, I just sit here by myself. So I got all ready to start working on a project, but then Night Strike jumped in and then Foss jumped in. So you guys want to chat about something, or if you got a conversation to start us off, feel free. Got a couple of people out there clicking on them over here. I'm just going to say we're using guntube.org, and got some people joining us. SS Pawn is out there. Foss is out there and in here. Monkeys is out there. Somebody posted something the other day and said something about all these gun websites are blah, 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 blah. Like talking about websites that are about guns or something. Oh, it's because they were talking about ammo being sold or something.
Right.
Picture. And I was like, it's messed up because I thought I was getting some kind of money.
Yeah. I mean, I covered this last night on Hit or Miss, but did you see what happened with Virginia? How crazy they've gotten.
No, pay attention to that stuff. What's happening?
Well, apparently they're enacting more, anti-gun laws, and that's no surprise. But primarily, they lifted a ton of restrictions on criminals. And yeah, even the laws regarding criminals with guns, and it's like, wow, it's ridiculous. So,
all right. I don't know if Fox, you've seen anything about that. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I haven't. I didn't see that.
Yeah, without more details. I mean, that's just a vague thing. Like, I heard somebody put kids in the face. I think that's bad. I don't have any evidence that it actually happened. So, just saying in general, it would be bad if Virginia made laws that gave guns to criminals. On the other hand, aren't you a participant often in conversations that say, if you do something and you go to jail, when you get out, your rights should be restored? You should stay in jail?
I think so.
I guess if you're talking some sort of weird thing where you're still guilty, but they're still letting you out, and then they're giving you back your rights, well, that does seem kind of odd. But again, that's just speculation and a bunch of outrage against the concept.
Well, there is a caveat to that. They have to be rehabilitated, right?
Well, I think
in the positive side, yeah, like if somebody's getting out of jail because they're rehabilitated, yeah, then they would get the rights.
Right. We're trying to be positive here on that. But again, we all know that not everyone's going to be rehabilitated once they get out. they're just going to go back to their same ways.
Oh, if they've paid their debt to society, done their time, and then they should get their rights back. And then if they reoffend, then they lose those rights again. Because if they get out and they're not, technically rehabilitated, it doesn't matter if they have their rights or don't have their rights. They're going to do what they want to do anyways. There's not going to be a law that will stop them from doing it.
Right, there'll be laws that make it wrong and have consequences, but they can't make them feel differently about the action, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever the intent, whatever that word would be. Like they're still going to do it if they're evil, right?
Right. So, did you also hear about Syracuse? They're trying to tackle a gun problem that doesn't exist.
Syracuse to New York now?
Yeah. Basically the demise of it is the city is encouraging the citizens to basically narc on other citizens that they see making ghost guns.
Oh, I think I've seen somebody talk about that. But
yeah, so we talked.
Yeah. So what is that like signs on park benches, or what am I saying, bus stops or something, or is it like an online campaign, or is it like something they're forcing gun shops to do? I'm wondering how is that?
They're encouraging citizens to narc on other citizens.
Yeah, I understand the concept, but I'm wondering who they're focusing or targeting it to. Because if they're, let's say, targeting it to somebody who isn't going to, I don't know. I'm just saying, I think it's interesting to just know who they're or how they're getting that out there. If they're sending it to some old lady who didn't even know that 80%ers was a thing, then that's a different type of campaign than I don't know, like putting it at machine shops or gun shops, or like some actual intent to get gun owners informed or something. I'm wondering if they're doing it out of concern, or if they're doing it out of, let's create another thing to be scared of.
I think it's the latter, because the way the article that I read went, basically they were trying to tackle a problem that doesn't exist, because they think that criminals will go make 80%ers and spend all the time trying to manufacture instead of just filing off the serial number.
It's always good to make laws for what people feel like might happen.
Right. I just figured I'd mention it because, it's gun news.
Oh, and there's a state representative in Washington that's going to try and get, I think, a 10-round magazine limit going again. But I haven't, yeah, in Washington. I didn't read the article yet, but I don't think it'll pass. None of them have. Last time they tried it, they tried to put it into a spending bill, into the budget, and once that found out, then a bunch of people went up for when they were doing a hearing about it, and some people testified for it, some against it.
It's different than whatever it was there, or whatever.
What was that?
That's different than 1368 or whatever it was.
Yeah, I-1639 doesn't put a limit on magazines. It just makes it basically adds a waiting period to any semi-automatic rifle, and then it's a longer waiting period on handguns too. Because instead of being a 3-day to time out for background checks, now it's 10 days.
And it says something about mental health history or something that gets accessed by the state or something every time you buy a semi-auto.
Yeah. I forget the wording exactly.
I think that's good, because honestly, why would you be buying a semi-automatic gun if you weren't mental? I mean, you're mental. So that's a murder-kill machine. Unless you're murdering people.
Well, with the AR-15 is the most popular rifle in the U.S., then that's a lot of mentally ill people.
Anyway, you're talking about one that is talking about mag capacity or whatever. Is that fake ballot initiative like 1639?
Like I said, I didn't read the article, so I'm not sure.
Like
I don't know
he,
if he's just proposing it right now or if they stuck it in a bill yet, or like last time when they tried to hide it in the budget bill.
man, somebody's miking the hell out of us. Is that you?
What?
Some breath is miking us. Somebody's breathing.
That might be me.
So we're hearing a bunch about all these new shooters and stuff, or new gun owners, I guess, people that purchased. I still am skeptical on that. But I'm guessing people must know new gun owners. Does anybody out there? We've got 8 people watching live right now. SS Pawn's out there. G23 was out there. Whoever this is, that a banana? I don't know if that's going on. No, that's Mad Donald Duck. Or is that Howard? Or would Howard have to have a cigar? I think Howard has to have a cigar, right? Otherwise, he gets copyrighted with Donald Duck.
Yeah, I think it's Donald.
I think I saw something on YouTube that talked about Howard the Duck, and I remember something like Marvel made Howard, and Donald Duck, of course, existed already. And then they said something like, all right, you can keep doing it, but you got to keep them separate. And they had to make them like angry and have like a cigar so that they looked different. Like no one would mistake them because they look basically the same.
Well, it's kind of like the Greatest American Hero show, where the reason he couldn't fly very well is so he didn't get in trouble with Superman, with DC Comics. Because they said,
oh, really?
Yeah.
That's actually became a big plot part of it, like, or whatever you call it. Like that's a big part of it, right? Yeah. Interesting. And Clover's out there. So if anybody's got topics, this is a conversation, right? It's designed to be, we talk about what we did over the month back in the day. It started out with 2 or 3 conversations in the end of 2013. Basically, at the time, there was quite a bit of live conversation on YouTube, and most of the primetime slots during the week were filled up with different people doing all kinds of live shows focused on different things. And after those shows, there would be just open rooms, and often the link would just be sent out or given to whoever wanted to join. And lots of people were jumping in and being part of these conversations and stuff. And of course, at the end of 2013, some of the people that were focused on Second Amendment and not just gun ownership started to notice an apathy that resistance to Obama's 23 executive actions proposed earlier that year. The resistance to that had grown naturally at a organic, like an actual grassroots kind of campaign. That swell was rescinding or residing or whatever it's called, and we started to kind of just have these conversations about, how do we keep that going? How do we keep the people that were active and interested and had great ideas and motivational, like how do we keep these people interested when there's not a fight, and how to do that in a way that isn't fake, right? We're not trying to artificially create an enemy, right? Or build up a conflict that we need to hype people up, and it's got to be a red flag in front of a bull. But how do we instead just keep our focus on Second Amendment on a regular basis, and not like how do you sugarcoat the medicine, but how do we just make Second Amendment different so that it's not something that has to be thought of as additional, but it's just part of this whole thing. And when you look at what we consume, what we look for, what we appreciate online, it's originated with what people were doing on television, and that originated with what people were doing in magazines, which originated with what people were doing in brochures and stuff. So, I mean, this is ancient stuff that we're just following, and we don't need to do that. That's a way to do it, and there's certainly a lot of people that are doing it at every level of success and failure, but that's not the only way to do things. So Every Second Matters was a result, I guess, of a bunch of different conversations and suggestions and fits and starts and different things. I mean, it's 7 years old now. So people have experimented with doing different things. People have been very active and very interested. People have lost interest. People have got renewed interest from it, and hopefully inspiration along the way. So with that in mind, we're not here to chat about whatever the new whiz bang. We're not here to create fear or panic or anything. We don't need to ignore nothing, but it's a conversation. So be part of it. And there's links over on the Patreon. If somebody wants a link, let us know. We can get you a link. Otherwise, use the text chat there. And I'll shut up again and see what people are saying right here. Big fan because he was a comic that was canceled because he was too rude for kids. And not to new gun owners, because I was asking if anybody actually knew any of these new gun owners we keep hearing about. Just sold off an AR to an insurance agent who started to buy guns this year. So an insurance agent buying guns as an investment or buying guns as some sort of defense against, I don't know, mobs coming into their yard or something. So here's something. Since I'm not going to just sit here and shake my fist at this guy. Somebody is new to guns. They've either had no oblivious, ambivalent, maybe, right? No opinion, which is I'm going to say is the most positive, like they just never thought about guns, or maybe they hated guns. And when people hate guns, they don't just hate guns because they got nothing else to do on a Wednesday, right? They hate guns because of some reason, I'm assuming, right? Like they hate guns because, and when something happens that gets them to a point, a brink where they go over, then they say, okay, now I'm going to buy a gun, even though, right? Or now I'm going to buy a gun. Maybe if it's even though I just don't care about guns, like now I'm willing to be that afraid. Is that the ideal gun owner? Like a scared, paranoid who thinks that a gun is a talisman, who thinks that as soon as they bought that gun and they put it in the drawer, bing, it's like kryptonite and bad guys who are Superman can't get them. Is that ideal? Like, are we making messages to those people, or are we making messages to who we want, like our little nephew who finally, got smart and now can go, comfortably check out our gun safe and like go shooting with us in the backyard? And that'd be great if everybody was our pal, but are they our pals? Are they going to be like, fair weather fans? I don't know sports, but aren't there fair weather fans that drop a team as soon as it's bad again? Like as soon as their leaders tell them, because they don't have representatives, they have leaders, right? As soon as their leaders tell them, hey, guns are bad, remember? Are they just going to drop them and be like, we're the 80% of gun owners that think there should be gun laws? Like, I'm a gun owner and I hate guns. We willing to talk about that on a Wednesday morning?
Well, I think a lot of the gun owners that bought out of fear will still be afraid and not care about the Second Amendment. They're just afraid, and we're looking for something to stop being afraid, like kind of like you're saying, a talisman. That's that's one thing that I think the two-way community, which I only know the people that the chats that I'm around, so I can't speak for every channel out there, but a lot of don't reach out to those. They point at them, they make fun of them, chastise them, and that doesn't help. Because once
what you should have done, what you should have done when I told you.
Once everything settles back down, they'll go back to hating it, and they'll still hate you.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying it's all like that. I'm just saying we can't just sit back and be like, here we go. We got Second Amendment again. We're done. So I threw a link out there. We'll see if anybody wants to jump in and chat about something real. This is Wednesday, right? Wednesday morning.
But it doesn't. I think just talking to them normally, it like you talk about starting a conversation. It doesn't have to be you're teaching them how to be a two-way crusader, but just saying, hey, how's it going? talk a little bit about guns, make them more comfortable with guns, help them understand it. And maybe that puts a little seed in there where, when there's a gun law, that they think differently about it.
Heck yeah. Hopefully they bought some stupid shotgun, which I don't like that much. But if they did buy a stupid shotgun, take them out and shoot something moving. Shoot skeet, shoot trap. Skeet's way funner. Or shoot 5 clay. It's even better. 5 stand is the best, where you stand in one spot so they don't have to be too concerned if they're a new shooter. They don't have to be walking or doing anything. And the clays come from towards them, away from them, left, right, bouncing on the ground. Hovering in space in front of them, so it's easy. It's just a super fun, video game version of real life shooting. And you take somebody who bought a gun out of panic and fear, and all they could get was their dumbass shotgun because Biden told them to, and you take them out and shoot 5 stand. Hopefully, unless they're, I guess they could be a robot or weird or something, or some horrible problem. But I would imagine most people are going to be like, "Dang, I thought guns were horrible weapons, and I think I just had fun." I think I just had fun outdoors with a friend of mine.
Every new shooter that I've taken, even the ones that were afraid to hold an empty gun, had a blast when we went shooting. They always left with a smile.
I need my cymbals. That's what Night Strike's supposed to be doing, but he doesn't ever bring the drum set anymore. Because you said they had a blast. All right, so Duck was saying, gotta start somewhere. Notice how I'm on El Pato tonight, and we attracted a duck. It's like duck having decoys out. You're gonna get a bunch of ducks if you go on El Pato. Anyway, saying gotta start somewhere. Yeah, for sure. I'm just talking shit because I'm trying to get people riled up and not just make it look like everything's through rose-colored glasses or through the panic glasses. There's real life glasses, and we've got a lot of opportunities. There's so many opportunities this year. So anyway, yeah, I didn't mean to bitch too much if somebody went out and bought a gun out of panic. I was just using that as an opportunity. But yeah, everybody's got to start somewhere. It would be great if we could mansplain, like if they'd listen to us, we could just mansplain the best gun to start with. Like you people start with a Ruger 1022, you people start with a 1911, and you people start with a shotgun, and then you people start with a Glock, right? Because we have them all figured out and we give them the ideal gun, and then we tell them what their next gun is. But man, they just do not stand in line for that yet. SS Pond gun shop in Nebraska. So a lot of first-time gun. I saw a lot of first-time gun owners. I sold a lot of first-time gun owners in February. See, now I think that's unscrupulous to sell the gun owners. I mean, sure, there's a lot of gun owners in Nebraska. I wonder what he's getting for them. I wonder if that's what happened to Travis. Maybe then he sold a lot of guns to first-time gun owners, which would make more sense from the conversation we're having. Based on the conversation over lunch, I gather he'd be a lifetime gun owner, not fair weather. Right on. He's a business owner and fairly conservative. And that's probably if there's all the people that bought a new gun. I mean, I'm guessing what I described was a smaller portion, right? The people that are going to hate guns and go over the brink to buy one out of panic or whatever. It's probably more people that were ambivalent and tended towards, like, I understand guns, I just never wanted one, but now I think I need one, so I'm capable and I'm going to use my right to get one and get one. So I'm guessing that's probably more the majority of people were like that. That's a good thing, right? And then he said, I feel it's a great thing. Most new shooters I've had out here I don't know where out here is. Did he tell us where he is? Is he in New York? I think that's where the duck landed. Most new shooters I've had out here tend to be very underwhelmed when they shoot the Ruger 1022 for the first time. They ease into it, start to understand they're not as scary as they've been told. Oh, okay. I think I see what you mean. Like they anticipate that the 1022 even is going to be like some loud, obnoxious, crazy kick and everything. So when you give them that, and then it's not, they're like, oh dang, I thought it was going to be worse than this. I think that's what he's saying. I was talking to people. Kingpin's out there. King of all the pins. There's a lot of pins. There's only one king. Saying happy every second matters, and he's going back to work. Work's never done. A lot of times as the king, you have the opportunity to sit in one of the corners where you don't get hit very often, or maybe in the middle, in the back, where you get hit, but it's never very hard. You can kind of just ditch out of there and act like you got hit, but really you're just jumping off the back. But no, Kingpin, he sits right at the front, taking most of the direct hits, like a true leader. Let's see. Sorry, I'm in Indiana, grew up in New York. Well, yeah, that's where you landed, and then I guess ditched out of there when people started thinking a duck was weird. Hang out in Indiana, you only got to worry about getting shot by somebody if you're a duck. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think when he's saying underwhelmed, it's more just they're surprised that it's not this big fire and fury out of a 22.
I mean, even with an AR, but no one walks away from the first time shooting an AR going, oh, that kicks, or anything like, oh, that was a hardy gun or anything. You know, they think, oh, that was the opposite, right? They think, oh, I thought that was going to be a lot worse. They don't realize they're basically shooting a 22 off a pogo stick, giant spring in your shoulder. All right, well, so we got some conversation going on. Appreciate it. 26 minutes in. I think we're going to run for a while. Go over here. You have to click on the little sandwich thing there, and then you click on subscriptions. And you go down to Crump. And John Crump is going to be chatting with Latino Locked and Loaded in 88 minutes. So I was thinking I'd run up until about that time. Drop that link. This guy Crump, he's always acting like he cares about the Second Amendment. So he fakes it by doing an interview with the Second Amendment advocate every single day. Talk about fake. Every single day this guy's got some Second Amendment advocate on there. He talks to him for an hour or whatever, sometimes longer. Lets them talk about whatever they want, their Second Amendment things or their projects or whatever. What a fake. So we'll run right up into that, especially if it's super quiet like this, because this is boring. See if anybody else got anything out there. Night Strike's really supposed to keep running the show, but I don't know what's happening.
I think he fell asleep.
Yeah. Exactly.
Siesta time?
Sits in the back seat. I think he's going to have the map or whatever. Worst part is he's like, I called the radio. Then he put it on NPR and then he fell asleep. Let's see. Most think an AR isn't bad, although there was a reporter that even, that guy was obviously hamming it up. When they get the AR, I warn them about the noise, and the thing is, you throw a can on an AR, and that eliminates that part pretty good. And it kind of, well, I don't want to say it doesn't add, it's kind of balances it a little bit, because sometimes, depending on the gun, little one especially, it just makes it a little bit more, whatever, proportion, I guess. And, I haven't ever seen anybody. Back in the day, it wasn't like a big deal to bring new gun owners to the range, or nobody was trying to do it, like back when I used to volunteer at the range. But what would happen is, just inevitably on a busy day, you'd see somebody who was like their son-in-law or their uncle or, somebody in the family who was visiting, because we're Tucson and people visit here, inevitably for something. And then, somebody's new, and whoever lives here is into guns and they go to the range. So then they bring that person, that repeated a million times every day, probably. I mean, not a million, but, hundreds and hundreds of times every day, I'm sure. But so that's where I would see new people shooting. And that was, kind of raw. That was back in the early 2000s. So there was internet, but not a lot of people on the internet. The only people really on the internet were the youngins. And we're talking about older people normally, or typically bringing other people to the range. So those old people weren't really on the forums and exchanging ideas and stuff. So every once in a while you get the Yahoo who, just did it in an inappropriate order or just wasn't really thinking, didn't even bring out a 22, for example, or something like that. But most of the time, pretty much all the time, I mean, I have to put that caveat in there because there must have been a couple of times when somebody wasn't really thinking. But for the most part, everybody's, trying to make their own family or their friends appreciate the hobby that they're sharing. So, if anything, it was more like being eager and taking them right from like, okay, now you've experienced guns for the first time and you're a grown man. So I'm just going to take you straight up to my black powder. And then it's like, never seen a grown guy try to hold back tears, but you were not expecting that kind of kick. That's kind of stuff every once in a while. People saying happy second. Grandpa's out there. Now, is anybody else worried that the duck is going to see that crunchy pickle sitting there? And then we only have a rifle and a hat laying around? And now we're going to have a duck with an AR? Just saying. Got a mouse running around too, so I guess he's been able to hold back having that pickle around.
Well, I don't think the duck will be able to use the California compliant featureless AR with a web feed.
You think that one of them weird AR grips makes it easier or tougher for like wings and flippers?
Oh, a lot tougher.
It seems like it'd be easier for like a dolphin to hold on to an AR compliant AR or a California compliant AR. But yeah, I guess if it had some kind of big paddle on the trigger, you could use it.
Just got to squirt them with oil and then gets in the feathers and they can't move.
The thing is, you don't even have to pull the trigger. So a dolphin, as long as he can carry an AR-15, if he got on like a bus or a plane or something, he's still going to take it over because not that many people are going to realize he can't pull the trigger right off the bat.
My animal anatomy might not be right, but I'm pretty sure dolphins don't have feathers.
I said flippers or wings because at first I was thinking a bird might pick up an AR also. There's condors in California. Now that they don't shoot at them or leave lead out in the woods, they're everywhere. And those things are giant. They're as big as airplanes.
They do get pretty big, don't they?
They get big as a hang glider, small bomber, small Air Force fighter.
I don't think they get that big, but pretty big.
Interesting. There is a thing called, I keep wanting to call it the Hobgoblin, but I don't think it's called that. What's the jet called that parasite?
VTOL?
No, there's this little parasite jet that drops out of,
The gremlin?
yeah, the gremlin things. No, the goblin. I always want to call it the Hobgoblin. So the XF-85, right?
That was an experimental, wasn't it?
Yeah, because they figured if they could drop it out of because a fighter can't keep up with a bomber for gas. Like a bomber can carry more gas, so it can go halfway across the planet. Fighters can't keep up with it. So how do you keep a fighter around so a bomber can be defended? Well, maybe we'll throw a couple of fighters in the bomb bay, or maybe take one fighter that's the aircraft carrier, and it can bring like 4 or 5 fighters in it. And if we need them, it'll drop a bunch of fighters out its belly. So that's what the Goblin was designed to be. I'm just curious what the wingspan is on it because it is so tiny. It was designed to fit into a bomb bay. I don't know if it'll tell us in here the dimensions or whatever. Design.
It's probably like the.
I mean, how big was a bomb bay? It was only about as big as what do you call it? 6 feet wide or something. Here we go. The folding wingspan 21 feet. So 21 feet. Let's see what a California.
Looking at the Goblin, that's literally just a jet engine with a seat and controls attached to it.
Yeah, and then machine guns.
Yeah, machine guns, right?
and basically didn't need air. It didn't need landing gear, I don't think, because it just had a thing to connect back to the plane.
Had a
And
hook.
so it didn't need a bunch of stuff.
I think that was one of the biggest problems was to recover it. It had a hook on like the nose that it had the hook on a loop to get the hook back to the bomber.
That's really optimistic.
Well, we tried to do all that before computers. Now that with computers, they could do it if they wanted, or at least they could do it a lot easier than if they wanted. All right, so with a, what did I say it was? 21 feet.
I would
a
think
male
Condor's
condor-
maybe like 10, 12 feet.
Yeah, a male condor can go to 9.8 feet. No, a female.
So about half of that. So half of a goblin.
Yeah, I was hoping that it would be as close to a goblin. No, it looks like wingspans of up to 11 feet. So yeah, at least almost half of two condors would be an airplane.
Yeah, right. So. But literally, that goblin was just a jet engine with a seatbelt on it.
Oh, that sucks. Pickle saying one of the big condor breeding places burned to the ground last week in one of the wildfires. That sucks.
Ouch.
Yeah, those things are neat. I've never seen one in the wild, but here in Arizona, once a year, the Game and Fish will have this big blowout at the giant range up near Phoenix, and I've been to that quite a few times. And it's something that you would bring like kids and the family to. It's all kinds of outdoors, from four-wheeling to fishing to archery to all kinds of gun stuff, and then lots of critters. And there's these big tents, and there's everything from like pelts and bones and skeletons and things, so the kids can see all the different, natural stuff, the anatomies and the different things. And then they'll have birds there, real ones, live ones, just sitting there minding their business, and they're big, right? And then they show like on the wall, like, here's how big this bird that you're looking at would be with its wings open, which is a lot bigger than you look. You see that bird, you don't think it's that big, but then they show how big a condor is. And they are just massive. I mean, that's a big, big bird. Think about how big. I mean, I can't think of how big. What's the biggest person's wingspan? Like nowhere near that. 11 feet? Like no way. Anyway, these things look like little planes to me. They definitely are as big as remote control planes, or like the biggest remote control planes or something.
Well, that's where the idea for airplanes came from, birds.
Could come from UFOs. You don't know. Maybe it came from bugs. There's dragonflies, butterflies and stuff. But then I suppose we'd have helicopters.
We do have helicopters, but I think it's more likely
first.
More likely birds is what sparked the idea for planes.
But anyway, it's still bad to hear that one of the condor places burned down, because I imagine that's not, well, obviously they're endangered, so it's not something that they're able to find. They probably need to have obviously the right conditions or what. Distance, I guess, from other things. Anyway, so let's not talk about depressing lack of resource area due to probably mismanagement of fire. Gun topics. 77 minutes. We just sit here in silence and do homework.
Have you seen any of the "if you could only have one gun" videos going around?
I haven't really been following stuff like that.
They've been, I think, interesting just to see, what people would choose and then why they choose them. Their guns. And a lot of people have participated, which has been neat. So you get to see a lot of different perspectives.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I don't know. I have a hard time just picking one. I don't think I could pick one.
Well, I did a video, and for mine, I did basically one if if society fell apart, what would I choose? And my choice was AR-15 in carbine length, just because the versatility. But for everything's normal, my carry gun, just because that's what I'm comfortable with. It's what I carry when I go out. I know how it shoots. I know how it feels. Um, it's in 40 cal, which a round that I like. That's not exciting, but that's the one gun I would choose.
Which one?
The H&K P30.
HKP 30. Okay. I mean, if we were going that route, I guess it probably would be my AK and my P320. So, but I don't know, because I do like my C308, and I love my ARs, and it's hard to choose between those, So I don't think I could do that. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Probably my rifle length AR and or the AK probably.
I can't see why anyone would even want to contemplate, like, what is this like when the government says you can only have one?
But when they start rationing, right?
You can have what you can justify.
You're only allowed one gun per month. I'm like, that's harsh. That is harsh. If they're gonna start rationing guns, they need to start rationing cars. You can only buy one car a month. It's gonna ruin all the car channels.
Well, more people are going to die from car wrecks than from being shot.
Oh, didn't you hear? It's like 99 million people die from guns, a month.
Yeah, I missed the memo.
But that was in the election in 16, like when they were running for office in 16, he said that?
Yeah, he said that, yeah.
I think that was Biden saying that dumbass shit, like, on the campaign trail in 16. Okay,
It was
if
ridiculous.
you're trapped on a desert island and can only take one gun. Yeah, I don't understand, like, oh, I'm going to make an appointment for this desert island I'm going to be stranded on? Like, how about the gun that gets me off the desert island or stops the guy from putting me on the desert island?
My wife's department she works for, years ago, they had some guy come in for some training or something, and one of the thought exercises is kind of like that. You're stranded somewhere, and you have a few things that you can choose from, but only pick a few of those. And there's like a knife, a gun, and something else. What would you choose? And the official answer is you get the knife. And I told her, no, you get the gun, because you get the gun, then you can go get the knife.
So is it just a standard jungle island, or is it like a swamp jungle island?
Yeah, but those things, like, aren't those, like, designed where they have brain scientists that design those things so that, like, oh, if you pick that, then you're a psychopath. And if you pick that one, then you're like a victim. And if you pick that one, like, you're the leader of the group. And if you pick that one, like, you need to be fired immediately. Like, isn't that what those things are for?
Oh, I don't know.
Those sessions or whatever.
She works for the state.
Well, they probably don't fire you then.
No, they probably just tell you that's the wrong answer. You should have picked this answer. It's like, okay, I'll pick that answer next time.
If you were trapped on a desert island, you could take one gun. I would take the gun that desalinates ocean water.
The desalinator, yeah.
I'd probably take a spear gun, because you can use it over and over and over.
There you go. And in the water, which is useful.
At that point,
Although
probably,
every time you watch somebody who's trying desperately to fish, like they've never figured out that you can just like take a bunch of sticks and stick them in the water like a big water cage, and then either put bait inside or just wait for a fish to swim inside, and then put a rock in front of the hole or stick another stick in front of the hole, and then you've got the fish, in your cage. Or you could set that up and go somewhere else and work on your shelter and come back. You could set it up in the sticks in a little triangle formation, so it's like a funnel, I guess, so that they go in and it's difficult to get back out. And, I mean, every time I watch one of the movies, I'm like, okay, somebody's never thought about it before.
That's covered in the Navy pilot survival manual. I don't know, the current one, but the one I saw back in the 80s, it had that and some other fishing stuff and how to find water and if you're stuck on an island in the South Pacific.
Yeah, exactly. That's important, is finding water on it. Unless it's a big enough island that you got rain, I guess. But
did you see Castaway with Tom Hanks?
when it came out, it's not like I've ever watched it since, but I remember it about a basketball or whatever and a guy on an island.
Yeah. Yeah, when he found the coconuts and you hear them dropping, I started laughing because I knew what they were by the sound of them dropping.
Oh, they'll just do it all at the same time, or like the wind blows them all down at the same time or something?
Just that thump, just from spending time in Samoa, and the neighbor kid would get me coconuts. He'd climb the tree for me if I asked him. Yeah.
You have to wait for them. They have to be ripe. They're green, and then there's some other color, and then you knock them down.
Well, they'll be green, the outside, because they've got the husk, which is an inch thick at least, and then inside of that's your brown nut that you see in the grocery stores.
I mean, you can just go eat them anytime. It's just that it creates more and more white, or you got to wait until they're.
Well, they do need to mature. When they're growing, they'll reach a point where there's meat inside, but there's no hollow. When you open them up, normally there's a hollow with some water in there.
Super old, you mean like they've just become nothing but coconut meat inside?
Yep, they'll be solid, and then you get that little hollow with a little bit of water in it. When they're fresh, you can dig them out with your thumb. It's so soft. It's really good.
What part you mean?
Yeah, the white part.
All of them, or just when they're like that?
Pretty much when you get them out of the tree, that's what they'll be like.
Okay, so in other words, like they start to dry out and get gross, and that's why it takes us like a knife or something to get it out of there.
Yeah, I can't eat. After having that, I can't eat a coconut.
I know people from Peru, and they won't eat bananas here. They're like, these things are disgusting what you people eat. Like, I'm used to eating like dozens of different varieties, all different kinds of bananas growing up. What you people eat is like filth. And I'm like, all right. I don't really like that much either, but I can understand it because they are all the same.
They had to go with the one strain because it's the only one you can get to market.
But yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Like I've gone to different markets before and gotten like little goofy bananas or big weird bananas and shit, and they're all gross and different. And I can't stand them. So I can imagine that the weird slime that people are used to eating for a banana, like ours would be disgusting to them.
That's what there's also like little finger bananas, which I don't know if that's that's what we just call them. But they were maybe a third the size.
Oh yeah, I like them. I bought them a couple of times, but I can't choke them down. They're like eating banana extract, and I don't like bananas enough in the first place. Like eating I don't know how to describe it. It's like eating isn't it? It's like eating 3 times the banana in every bite.
Oh, I don't remember. Don't remember. I know I ate them, but that was in the 70s.
And they were super soft. Like the ones I seen, the skin was really thin, so it looked like a peel, but it came off like a apple skin almost. And then even though they were firm, somehow when you peel them, they become gross inside, like soft and mushy, and then just super banana flavor. It was like I say, you could tell that I've known from just the few that I've eaten that aren't normal that bananas are one of those things that we're definitely eating like the I don't know, like the red apple, and there's all those other apples, but we're eating like the red apple only ever.
Yeah.
All right, well, now we're talking about fruit, and it's every second matters. Not every fruit freaking shit matters, so fruit doesn't even matter. Nobody likes fruit.
Well, if you hold the banana the right way, you can hold it like a gun.
That's true. And that means that it should probably be regulated. Right.
Right.
I agree. There should be an infringement.
No infringements on bananas.
Why won't this thing let me add this effing thing? How many things can I even click anymore? When you're distracted trying to click stuff you barely understand in the first place, it's frustrating. Oh, I know what I have to do. There. Now it'll let me go.
So have you tried that new printer out yet?
Yeah, I've been printing the heck out of it. In fact, I killed the first, the first printer tubes that come in, or toner tubes. The toners in this look like, I guess they kind of look like when back in the day you'd go to a bank and they had them little capsules with the tubes that, would suck the thing with the vacuum over to the teller and suck your money back to you.
I mean, like you go into the drive-in?
No, the tubes, like when you're at the bank and you put your money in the little cassette thing and then it would suck it over to the teller and she'd take your money and put change in there and then suck it back out to you. And it was like a little circular thing. That's what the toners look like. They look like these little circular. Oh, you know what it would look like? The thing that broke and made the Ninja Turtles.
The ooze bottles.
Yeah, you get like 4 of these ooze bottles, one in black and then the 3 colors. And you just shove them in the front. Anyway, so I used the first ones. So here's the other weird thing. I get this thing and it's in a giant weird box and it's all designed for like simpletons or weaklings to put it on a desk and then push a button and the box falls away. So, and of course you don't know that until you take it all apart with a razor blade and then you're like, oh, I see what they meant to be done here. Anyway, so I take this thing, I get it out of its weird box, a magic trick box, and then peel how sometimes they have tape on them to hold the doors together and shit. I peel some tape off. But you know how when you get a printer cartridge and you'll peel the tape and it'll somehow peel a piece of tape from some like internal, it's coming out of some weird maze in there. And you're just pulling the tape out of there. And it was covering all kinds of holes or something. Nothing like that. Just barely tape holding the doors shut, like the different compartments and shit have doors, to keep them closed. So there was just tape to keep the doors from like rattling. And then I pushed the on button and it sat there for like a little while churning away. And then boom, it just starts printing. So that's weird. Like I'm used to having to pull some kind of piece of tape off of a toner cartridge or some sort of, one of those like pop tops or some kind of, freshness seal to make the toner cartridge active. This thing didn't need any of that. So I don't know. Maybe there's some sort of membrane that it pops. Like when you buy caulk or something, how you have to go in there and poke an awl in there to pop a membrane. Maybe there's something like that, so it doesn't need covers or caps or something. Anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. So I've never actually taken the cartridges out yet, but I ran them dry. And the question is, does Xerox give you like little baby ones to start off with, like a lot of places do? Do they give you normal size ones? I'm almost positive they didn't give me like their extra large toner cartridges, right, to start off with.
No. When you buy a new printer and they give you those trial cartridges, they're only good for like about depending on the size of the printer, 100 to 200 prints. That's about it.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, like some percentage of a regular toner cartridge, and then
whereas a normal cartridge will be like 1,000 prints, and if you get the extra large, it's like 10,000.
Yeah, and then right, exactly. Like then there'll be some larger one is what I was getting at. So this one will be definitely smaller.
Yeah, because I just got a new printer the other day too. So nothing fancy, just a normal inkjet.
But I've never owned an actual. Do I look at this one?
An actual Xerox.
That was a good one. At least it started out with what could have been an actual text, but it was garbage. So I was distracted by a fucking spam text that came in. So the thing is, I've never owned any Xeroxes. I don't own anywhere near. I don't deal with enough printers anymore to know. But like I said, I don't know if they come with a tiny one or if they come with a standard one. Now, if they come with a standard one, I can kind of figure out how much it would cost per book to print now, right? Because I've printed a number of books
Yeah.
and I've emptied the cartridges. But
They send them with tiny ones. I can tell you that without a shadow of a doubt.
okay, so that means I need to, you know what I mean, like put new ones in and then start printing. What I've been doing is keeping like a little track here, you know, of how many things are being printed. So I'll
Right.
keep track again, and then I'll have hopefully like a larger number that I'm able to print out of like the regular size cartridge, and then I'll have a better idea of like, because right now I know how good it prints. It prints awesome. So the next question is, how much does it cost to print awesome? I know how much it would cost me to have like, you know, a number of these things printed at a printer, but then you got quantity. You have to buy this many, so that makes the price go up. So if I can get these things printed at anywhere near a reasonable cost per booklet or book, then anyway, so that's what I'm going to find out next. So instead of doing that today, I am doing Every Second Matters because it's Every Second Matters, and I can do that.
Right.
But no, it's working good. The printer's working, and like I say, it was, you know, knock on wood or whatever. To Xerox, they invented our Windows interface. Before Xerox, everything was just text-based. You typed in lines like in war games. They invented the mouse. They invented lots of other stuff. So they gave that to everybody. They gave that to Mac. They gave that to Windows. Mac took it and ran with it. Windows stole it and made Windows. So I've always thought Xerox is kind of cool. They had created that because they just spent a lot of their money to create a place in California to let nerd hippies, do whatever they wanted. And that's what created a good usable chunk of computers we got today. I just think that's cool. So this is the first time I had a chance to buy a Xerox. And I think I can't rave enough about it. It's fucking awesome. $200 and something, $220 or something. Like I said, it was in some magical box where once I know about it, like if I ever buy one again, I know this little trick button you click, and then the box just falls away. But you know, it came right out of the box. I pulled off some of that tape, and then I literally turned it on, plugged it into the computer, and I printed one test page, just, you know, make sure that the computer was talking to it, and then started printing, and it just, I'm not gonna print pretty damn good. And then it started bitching that yellow's running. So the way that this one is a toner cartridge for yellow, red, blue, and black, right? So it starts bitching at some point, yellow's running. Yellow is intimate, like super low, critical. Yellow's almost out. You're going to die. You're going to run out of yellow. And I just kept printing because I wanted to see if it's complaining or if it's for real, right? And then it starts going, oh, red and yellow. It's going. Red and yellow are out. You're out of red and yellow. You might as well quit now while you're ahead. You're out of yellow and red. And then it starts complaining about blue. And I'm still printing. Print, yellow, orange, everything's printing fine. Now the last couple, I can't show you because it's in paper, but I think it's losing its black now. But it's smart. So where it's straight black, it's printed black. Or it's throwing all the other colors to create black, but whatever. I'm still getting black on the page. But where it's supposed to be like a shadow, like where what do they call that? Where it goes from dark to light, the gradient. It can't print a gradient anymore. So it's just printing blue. So it's basically, it's smart enough to know it lost toner. So it's going to fill in with something else and it ain't going to look right, but it's crisp and sharp. It's not like a stupid inkjet printer, where once it's out, it doesn't know. So it's just like a spray can is empty and it keeps spraying anyway, so that you're just lacking image. This still creates an image. It just uses something else. It's like Scotty's in this thing, making it happen. Even though it ain't perfect, he's still getting the job done. So I'm impressed with that. And I don't know if I'm guessing that's just because Xerox, invented.
Xerox did invent laser jets, laser printing. So yeah.
Anyway, so yeah.
Xerox also invented Ethernet, networking cable.
I gotta jump out. I gotta go watch the baby.
Right on.
Good luck.
So I'll be out there in the ether listening.
You're probably making that baby listen to Second Amendment stuff. So you see weird things out there. You're saying weird things to a baby. So remember that.
Just remember that. So keep it PG-13.
If you want outlaw bananas, only outlaws will have bananas.
Yeah.
I feel like monkeys are going to have bananas no matter what, so that's unfair. That's creating a criminal class of monkeys where they're just behaving the way they would naturally behave.
Yeah, that's monkey lives matter.
No, I'm not going to go that far, but
Okay, we won't go that far. Yeah, so I'm glad that the new printer's working out for you then. So just remember, do not buy the official Xerox cartridges. Buy third party.
well, and that's what I'm going to, I guess, find out here is well, that works. So they already have third-party ones. But because it's the fancy Xerox, I'm feeling, and it's cost more than $40. My last printer was $40. I didn't really care if I screwed up my last printer because it was $40 to replace the whole thing. But this one has some sort of fancy part where if you put third-party goop in there and it clogs up the part, then you're buying a whole new printer. So that's my concern is that because it's a fancy laser, that it's going to need a nice fine, whatever. I don't think it's resolution, but like diameter of goop, like the toner. And I've heard a couple of things where if the toner cartridge is inconsistent and clogs the thing, Xerox uses that as the way to say, yeah, well, you're not using our toner cartridge. So guess what? You can buy your own part. Because basically, I'm sure that's what turns out to be the expensive part is having to take the whole thing apart and fix whatever actually sticks it onto the paper.
Right.
Because it's it's not one of the things that's on the side that you just pull off. I imagine they might get to that at some point, or maybe on the prosumer types. I know people that are professional printers can get in and fiddle with that, but I don't think it's something that's accessible on this. But
You might have to open it up, and if you're not comfortable,
that's just my concern is that I'm more concerned now than I have been on my inkjets that when I'm sticking in this third party stuff, I might have an issue.
what I've noticed with a lot of newer inkjets, and this is just for inkjets, that they've started putting on the cartridge on the toner ink cartridges. They started putting chips. So if you use a third party cartridge that doesn't have a chip that corresponds with that printer, then it won't accept that cartridge.
Yeah, so that's most of them come with, well, like when I was using a refill kit, it would come with the refill goop, but then also a bag of chips, depending on how big of you could buy like one chip or you could buy 10 chips, depending on how much goop you bought. So, yeah, you're right. It would basically, I guess it must have something like I have 2,500 copies in me, and it would start counting down. And then at some point, the chip says, I'm empty, no matter what is in it. It's just going to say I'm empty. So what you're really buying with the refill kits is a chip. And with the printer I had before this one, because this one, the chip must be in the cartridge because it doesn't ever need to meet, I don't ever have to do anything. But the one that was before this, the cartridge I had to refill each time, that one, there was just a screw, like one little screw that held that little component on. And so that was literally all you did is take that screw out, put the new one in, put the screw back in, and it made it up or interfaced with the computer like you're saying. But yeah, that's to get the suckers, I guess, that aren't going to go online and figure it out or go on. Actually, you don't even have to go online. You just have to go to like eBay or Amazon, and the thing that you buy is going to have a piece of paper that explains the deal. You probably have to go online to figure out the first place.
I don't use Xerox printers anymore because they're too expensive. I use laser printers these days because you can they're more affordable. Okay, and
never about the same. There's no real difference.
The one I've got currently that does color. Basically, I've got cartridges where I can just open up and I can actually buy like bottles of the toner and just refill those cartridges, close it back up, and put it back in the printer.
Yeah, because it doesn't have those chips or whatever. So you basically they're just containers for the what do you call it, for the toner.
Yeah.
So until your screen or whatever gets damaged, and that's the thing, as long as you probably use it once in a while, it probably cleans itself. It must do something. Now I've got a big thing on the side here. Does yours have an extra, like a fourth thing where it throws, like where it spits or something?
Mine spits out on top, and takes paper from a tray on the bottom underneath.
No. I mean, like, I've got this other cartridge that I think is when it's cleaning its heads or when it's doing stuff, it needs a place to spit that toner. And I think it's just a big empty spittoon. And they'll sell like an empty one, but I've also seen where you just go online, you figure out how to drill a hole in it and let it empty out. And then, like I say, it's so that it doesn't, it's for whenever they're cleaning or adjusting or doing something, it's going to pull a bunch of toner and it needs to spit it out somewhere. And I think that's what this thing is.
I think mine's self-cleaning.
So maybe it, I don't know, maybe it burns it away.
I think it burns it away, yeah.
But I don't know. This one has, like I say, something, and it's not little. It's as big. It's bigger than a VHS tape. Whatever that form factor was, that was bigger than VHS that they use at movie theater or at television stations. It looks like that size. It's pretty big, and it's the whole side of my thing. But it just says Xerox 108RD. It doesn't really say what it is. It just says the number on it. But anyway, I'm pretty sure when you get in, because I know that the professional models have that, like a spittoon basically, because they'll go through and do an elaborate process. There's the print head or whatever you call it on a real one, like a professional one is gold. And they have X amount of holes and, if it loses X amount of holes, it doesn't work. So they're constantly cleaning and cycling and doing stuff. So they've got a whole nother, like a container where they spit into and they draw extra fluid. Those are fluid though. Those are, what do you call it? Yeah, ink. So that's why I wasn't sure if a toner would need that. I can't figure out what the hell else this thing would be on the side. Unless it's something else that, like light bulbs or something. What the fuck does laser get lit from? LED? Or is it tubes? Maybe it's a tube or something that powers the lasers.
I think it's like some sort of cathode LED.
Each of the colors have their own laser. I think it's like 4 different laser printers in here, right? From what I understand, like it'll print one color and then it goes to the next one and prints that color. It goes to the next one, prints that color. So I'm sure they're each their own laser.
Well, no, what they could do is they could be using one laser and just cycling through each color.
Like laser to heat and then stick it in the red, laser to heat and then stick it in the blue, laser to heat. I guess they could do that.
Because technically a laser printer is the opposite of a laser scanner. So if you know how a laser scanner works, just reverse engineer that and reverse it, and then you got a laser printer.
So that seems like if you use that symbol, you could take a Terminator and reverse it into a detector.
I don't know if it works exactly like that, but you try that and you let me know.
I'm going to check this out again.
Just because
an actual old model, I'll probably keep it. Like if I get somebody already ruined it, then I'll probably
my birthday was the date Skynet became self-aware, so you have to go out, remind me of it every day.
It was 1997. We'd have been a couple of days after a nuclear explosion. And the people like 2020 was a big deal. They just didn't even live in 1997 when we had to deal with that. They think of it as some sort of a movie to just watch.
Yeah, well, those robots are going to go after you. So this book you're making, what's it about?
This one here is going to be the story of the Second Amendment. I think I was talking about it, so I'm just going to start with the beginning. It's going to be like a timeline. So same information is all, we don't have the same information we got, but just a form factor of years going by. So I'm just now starting the Second Amendment here, and that'll be like yesterday at the end of the book. And then I'm just going to take as much room in the book as necessary for each year or era or segment or date or situation, and kind of split up into that kind of format.
Okay.
The last one was sort of like a patchwork or like bulletin board like it was just an assembly of all the information. This is to process information in a different format in order to understand it, more completely. So having a bunch of information, downloaded or offered in a state-centric format or whatever, then you're only going to be able to experience things spatially, I guess, and maybe a little bit of time, because we talked about, when a manufacturer, when an organization maybe move from one state to another, a little bit of time, but mostly spatial. So this is to take the spatial element and put it on the back burner and make what order chronologically things happened. A lot of stuff has happened. We stand on the shoulders of a lot of people. Those people didn't just get handed a script that somebody wrote at the beginning of everything. Instead, here's when you stand up and say, every person that exists today is one of our Second Amendment history, is somebody that came to the call, who stood up and said, that's enough, I'm done, I'm going to do something about this. And then they offered it and did something about it. And some of them are more effective than others, and some of them were louder than others, blah, blah, blah. But like I say, nobody was handed a script and just roll. So when you look at things like that, it's just, here's a bunch of stuff that happened, or here's where a bunch of stuff happened, I think it can be missed. Anyway, so that's what it is. It's talk about our Second Amendment history chronologically.
Awesome. You're roboting a little bit, though, so...
Let's see how much further we got. So we're going to be chatting up until Crump goes live the day Latino Locked and Loaded. The Sunday Latinos Locked and Loaded, or Latinos podcast. And they'll be going after about 40 minutes. That's when we'll end this one. And until then, this is supposed to be a conversation about guns. So join in. We throw the link out there periodically. You can be part of this. I send the link out to our patrons. It's on the strike grabbed in here. And second is day of the month that rhymes with the Second Amendment. So a long time ago, a bunch of people said, hey, if we talked about the Second Amendment it rhymes with it. And then a bunch of other people said, okay. And then we did that for the last 7 years. So you're doing it right now. And you're either sitting there watching or you're part of the conversation. A lot of times people aren't part of the conversation because they're scared and they've never done it before. Think other people can do it better, so why should they do it? And that's okay, I guess, because we live in a free country and you can sit there and do nothing if you want. But if you're not scared and you want to be part of the conversation, but you're not good at it yet, here's how you get better at it. You do it. And then once you've done it, you go, oh, I could have done it differently that way. Or I did that, I'm going to do it again. And then what happens is you evolve and you get better. And then hopefully you become an inspiration for somebody else who's like, oh, shit, I never thought about getting involved, but that guy's doing it. Or that lady's doing it. Or that little kid is doing it. And then you get a bunch of people. And then all of a sudden you have a bunch of people chatting about stuff that's interesting and hopefully useful. So that's what it's all about. It's an exercise. And
yeah, I'm still not good at it, but I keep trying.
Yeah. So you can too. Jump in. I don't know if it's my internet. It must be my internet. I screwed around. I have this, connection, and then I've got the line coming into the router, and I screwed around hiding that like from the sun, thinking that the sun was messing with that wire. But I don't know. Plus, it's not that hot today, so I really don't know what's going on with my internet connection.
Yeah, normally the sun won't affect Ethernet cables.
No, we're talking coax, piece of coax.
Coax. No, I don't think sun affects coax either.
Well, it's not bad. It's just the roll of coax that I bought when I was doing work like that back in the olden days. So it's indoor coax, and I've got it running outdoor. I always figure, maybe it's stretching or doing something, or maybe it bent, dink or something. So what I'll do is I'll go out there and poke at it, and then sometimes my internet comes back. But I really don't think it's that, because like I said, that was going to be annoying, and I hit the wire from the sun I've replaced that wire a billion times because I still have this huge roll of it. I just snap a new end on it and make a new wire every time it gives me trouble.
Right.
This last time it gave me trouble, I rubbed it a different way so that it wouldn't in direct sunlight. But it could be, maybe my neighbor kids are playing some kind of video game. Anyway, barbecue's in here.
How's it going? Happy every second matters, guys.
Hey.
Is my audio all right? I'm trying to upload a video right now.
Yours is fine.
Yeah, you sound fine.
Terrific. Awesome.
It's just G-Webs. It sounds a little bit like Skynet.
Maybe G-Webs is Skynet.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it knowing G-Webs. He might have been replaced by one of those infiltrator models.
There's a dog right there. She ain't barking. So, no.
So what all have I missed? How long have we been live now?
About an hour and 16 minutes.
Go to the actual YouTube video, like this. Is this showing my screen still? I lost all my screens. Okay. When you go to here, you just don't click on nothing. Just hover over that red line like it's a thermometer. And if you scroll all the way back without clicking nothing, just hover over there. It'll tell you how long the live show has been online. So it's been online for 1 hour and 16 minutes and 37 seconds.
Won't lie, I never thought about doing that.
Yeah, and if you look in StreamYard on the top left, it says live. It'll say how long you've been live.
It shows you people this year also.
On StreamYard, yeah, it's saying live 1 hour, 17 seconds, and 17 minutes and 14 seconds.
That's a feature of El Pato to keep up with YouTube Network, a much better video hosting platform than our live streaming.
Yeah, so.
All right, so we've got approximately 38 minutes, 17 seconds before we end the show.
Yep.
Let's solve the Second Amendment real quick. Go.
Come up with a Second Amendment topic.
I said solve the Second Amendment real quick.
Shall not be infringed.
Well, that just is the Second Amendment. I don't know if that counts.
What do you mean it doesn't? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it counts.
It's just reiterating.
Okay, so some infringements are okay with you. I get it.
It's plagiarism.
I don't know if we can solve it in one day.
I'm busy tomorrow, so I'm pretty sure we can do it today. Because it's going to take like another week.
Yeah.
What if we built a giant wall around California and the entire New England area, move the people out of Vermont and New Hampshire, and just like place them in New Jersey and take the people in New Jersey and place them in Vermont and New Hampshire? I think that would make a big difference. And then we'll just let them be their own little things.
That would alienate the divide. Why would we want that? That wouldn't solve. That would just create a different and exacerbate this issue we have. I'd rather see a solution where you leave us alone. Figure out that it's no different than a motorcycle. Those people get left alone. If you got one of them loud, obnoxious motorcycles, people are like, that keeps them from getting run over on the highway. I'm okay with that. Like it leaves the neighborhood, unless they're just revving it in the parking in their driveway for no reason to be assholes. Even if I hear a loud motorcycle, it leaves, it goes away, and I'm still able to live my life, and they're able to live their lives. If there's somebody with a loud car, no problem. Somebody wears weird pants, they're like, hey man, go live your life. Some lady that wears perfume that's weird or whatever, people are like, hey, that's her, it's on her. Of course, when we get guns, Well, so I don't want to see all of the people with motorcycles have to go live over there, or all the people that don't like motorcycles have to go live over there. I'd rather see them just leave us alone. And we're not asking for everybody to love guns, I don't think. We just want them to leave us alone. So,
Yep.
I want California. California happens to be pretty freaking awesome. And I haven't been enough to the New England states as an adult, so I don't know, but it's probably shitty. I'm just guessing it's cold and mildewy, a lot of mold, and overcrowded and populated. So it means probably a lot of bugs and disease and filth. It's not bright out, so it's probably real dark and gloomy. Everybody seems really been angry up there. But as far as
it probably hasn't changed since the last time you were there.
So the only real good thing about it is the fall foliage.
except for all that, I guess it's okay. But I have no idea. I'm planning on going to Connecticut at some point. There's way too much gun history in Connecticut to not go hang out there. Pennsylvania has a ton of gun history. New Hampshire has a little bit. So yeah, I definitely want to go hang out up there, but I'd rather do it once they've chilled the fuck out, right? Leave us alone. Every second, chill the F out and get woke. That's all I'd rather see that solution is a woke future where gun owners are just those people that do different things than us, but when necessary, they also are allies that are capable and prevent things. I don't know, if you need to get together and have a conversation about how we can use the situations that are experiencing everywhere. And instead of figuring out how to report on or regurgitate the messages that are being provided by those in the three-letter networks, the programming that's being distributed to either influence votes or purchases, or its loyalty, and some non-partial or more partial, I guess, nonpartisan effort to look at the situation and what potential we can have to reach the other side. You can't do it with people on our side. Echo chamber are going to work for this one because we can't empathize. We don't know. It's like we're self-sufficient. We have a responsibility to ourselves and others. We feel that responsibility, and that's not something that we bought at a store so we can return it. It's just our parents fucking worn into us and we can't do nothing about it. So if we have that, very difficult to understand when you don't have that. And just, I think it's easier for people to say, well, they're wrong, I'm right. So I want to understand what they're doing. But what we need, I think, is to see somebody with that ability or with that opinion, or somebody that's changed from that opinion so they can still empathize and to actually make some headway. We're certainly not going to do it, as we talked about earlier, just chatting about it. We're not going to do it by, we gotcha. What you should have done was bought ammo when I told you 2 years ago. That doesn't solve anything. It just gives you a little bit of jolly, ruining some stupid ass fictions argument in your head. But in the big picture, we've got a ton of potential here. So, I'm not the one, I guess, to attract the kind of audience that's going to bring that conversation in, unfortunately. But hopefully somebody out there is taking this opportunity to look at this in a rational, open-minded way so that we can make as much use as possible. There's so many resources available to us today. And we can sit around talking about nothing, same kind of shit we would talk about in a year that won't matter. Or we can use strengths and the skill sets and the tech and the force of audience and the momentum that we've gained over the years just talking about nothing and shooting the shit, and use that for actual effect. Use that with intent and use it with focus on an actual goal, valid, worthy goal. So that's what this show is about. We're not here to chat about whatever gadget or whatever tech or just general chat. I'm going to end it so that it doesn't just become that. Instead of end it on again another urge to understand that each of our voices matter. We're each spending time throwing wind past our vocal cords with some sort of direction from our brain, and we can continue to do nothing, which we have all the right in the world to do, or we can use every moment of that with intent and effort to change the direction. Think about a swimming pool. Anybody ever been in a round swimming pool before as a little kid? You could be the only little kid in a round swimming pool and start swimming in a circle. What happens? Nothing. Because you're a little kid swimming in a big giant swimming pool. If you're a little kid in a big giant circular swimming pool swimming in a circle long enough that I got the current going in a big ass circle, I got it going long enough that I could sit there and take an entire lap of the pool without swimming. Imagine if we were all swimming together.